Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Muppet Treasure Island from 1996. And this is a winner of the Patreon movie review vote. If you would like for me to review a movie of your choice, then click on the link below and pledge, and maybe I'll be reviewing your movie next month. This is both the fifth movie starring the Muppets and the fifth Muppet movie voted on by my patrons for me to review. So this is an exclusive kind of Patreon movie review vote made series, which is actually really cool. And now we're on to the fifth one. I've almost reviewed them all, as I've reviewed the Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted when those came out, and now the first 5 Muppet movies, this is the fifth one, which is really neat. Muppet Treasure Island is interesting in that I think it is very much a follow-up to A Muppet Christmas Carol. It's definitely a sequel to it, taking a classic book of literature, however you consider a classic book of literature. I guess Treasure Island is. I know it's a book that's old, so why not? Basically, that you take a classic book of literature, make a movie out of it, and have that starring the Muppets and directed by Brian Henson. And this is very much definitely a follow-up to that. I know they considered doing a King Arthur one. They instead chose Treasure Island, which I think is actually a really good pick. But I will say, which I find really interesting about this, is most Muppet sequels, you have your first Muppet movie in whatever kind of series you're in. So you have the Muppet movie, you have Muppet Christmas Carol, and then you have the Muppets. They're the first movie in that kind of respective run. And I've never really found, for the most part, the sequels to represent as much, to be as big of a deal as the first one. The Muppet movie is sort of this huge culmination of Jim Henson and the Muppets and all they'd achieved. The Muppets or whatever it was with Jason Segel was like this huge comeback that they could be in movie theaters again. And Muppet Christmas Carol, again, that they could be in movie theaters and, without Jim Henson at the helm, or at least being the large major creative force behind it. But this is the only one that I found to be sort of a natural sort of evolution of kind of like definite artistic follow-up. Now you're going to say they're all sort of follow-ups. Absolutely they are, but this felt like they were raising the stakes. Brian Henson is a much more confident director in this film. He shoots, which is, this film is entirely sets, but he shoots it like a location. The camera's moving around a lot more. Now, in Christmas Carol, I don't think he did a bad job shooting it, and that is a very stagey kind of thing, and not in a negative way. That's like what the material is. Muppet Treasure Island, you need to move that camera around more, and he was so apt at doing that while still kind of using the kind of same sets and everything like that, but didn't feel that way. There's a lot more of a dynamic quality in it. Now, this is an adventure film, and those need to move a lot more than, a moral dilemma Christmas movie, I guess. But he really does do that, and it does feel like they're kind of upping their game artistically, which I really like about Muppet Treasure Island. Now, my sort of background with this one, it came out when I was I would think it was like 12 or something, 12, 13. And I don't think I saw it in theaters. I definitely have seen it before, but I wasn't like a kid like I was with the other Muppet movies. So I didn't see it as much, even though I did see Muppets in space in theaters. I don't know why that distinction, but I knew everyone loved it. I've never had anything against it or anything. I never saw it and go, that sucked. I remember liking it fine. I've heard people like get crazy about this movie, and I always found that to be interesting. I was like, really? It's like, Christmas Carol's the thing, but like Treasure Island, I don't get it. And then I finally watched it with my daughter, who I finally got to sit through an entire Muppet movie, so kudos to you, Muppet Treasure Island. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I think one of the things that really works about this movie and this whole concept, and I wish they had done more of them, frankly, of the Muppets taking on classic literature, is the Muppets are good, and with Brian Henson's direction, at getting the core story. Like, you definitely know the story of Treasure Island from the other movies I've seen. I don't know this as well as A Christmas Carol, because that was like jammed down your throat from when you're born until like you move out of your parents' house every year, because my parents were weird about books. But no, because there were just so many Christmas specials. But they're very good at doing that while still being comic, while still having fun with it, while still layering it with jokes. And it felt like the perfect kind of marriage between the two. You get kind of the educational background that you normally get so perfectly in Sesame Street, and you bring that to the Muppets in a way, but it doesn't feel that way. You're basically getting a classic, story, but you're getting it in this like really fun, really cool way. Like, how many kids would have actually seen Treasure Island if it had come out? And Cutthroat Island had come out around this time, I believe, like maybe a year before, and didn't do very well. So I guess we know the answer to that. But what is interesting about this one is you would think that, and I thought just without having looked at it, that if you had asked me what had made more, A Muppet Christmas Carol or Muppet Treasure Island, I would have said, oh, Christmas Carol, obviously. No, this actually did a lot better than that, which is also surprising they didn't do another one. I mean, they didn't do another one in this vein. They did Muppets from Space, which is sort of like its own thing. We'll get to that one. But I wish they had done more of these. Now, I love the songs, the music, the action in it is actually really well shot, especially with puppets, which I think is not easy to do at all. There were some shots in here I was like, man, that is an impressive shot. Please hold on it longer, and they move so quickly through it. They have a great cast, from Jennifer Saunders to Billy Connolly to, of course, Tim Curry, who is absolutely amazing as Long John Silver. I think there's a particular kind of actor who knows how to play with Muppets. You have to be broad, you have to be theater trained probably. You have to really sell that kind of broader energy, but do it in kind of like a fun, kind of like subversive way. You have to make the audience believe that you respect the Muppets as actors, but that you can play off them. And Tim Curry is just like frankly amazing. He might be one of the best actors I've ever seen act with a Muppet, like ever. Like, he's just so game for it. I love Tim Curry. Is Tim Curry bad in anything? No. The answer is always no. Yeah, I'm sure probably, but but not in this movie, I'll tell you that, because he was just killing it every scene he was in. As much as when you see Muppet movies, you like do not care about the human characters. They're like the humans in Godzilla movies. You're like, when is Godzilla back? Who are these losers? And then in Muppet movies, most of the time I'm like, oh, okay, the studio thinks you need some human characters in this to like sell tickets. But I will say, like, I wanted to see Tim Curry as much as I wanted to see Fozzie or Gonzo. He was so perfect in game for it. It's amazing, you know. And I think Brian Henson, one thing he was really good at was casting kind of a movie star or a very good actor, like between Michael Caine and Tim Curry, a very well-regarded English actor, having them play against Muppets, but having them really game for it and really game to like put in a real great performance alongside the Muppets, which I think is like something he's really good at. I wish, again, like, I think when I watched this, I was like, God damn, why didn't they just make one of these every 3 years? Like, just like, you know, Muppet, some other book or something. Muppet Catcher in the Rye. Kermit could be Holden? No, that would be Gonzo. Duh. Someone please make me that comic. I would love it. Oh my god, Muppet Catcher in the Rye. Why didn't they ever write to him? I bet he would have done it. But I like the casting it. They do have a human play Jim Hawkins, because the studio, which was, or at least distributor or whatever, Disney, felt that they needed a like human as sort of the lead, so they put this kid in there. To be honest, you would think I would be annoyed with that. You think that wouldn't work, to be honest, and it never bothered me, frankly. It doesn't rely as much on the Muppets as Christmas Carol does, but they're different stories, and that emphasis is on Scrooge. You don't need a bunch of humans in there, but in this, I guess you do. You probably could have not done that, but it gave it kind of a good kind of balance to it, so I don't really entirely mind it as much as you think. I guess you would. I really do think they made a really great adventure movie. It seemed like they were really purposely trying to make the best kind of adventure film they really could. And adventure films are different from action films, and I think it really got that fun adventure kind of like 12-year-old boy kind of sense to it, while also like just, you know, having a conga line, having things like cabin fever thing, which feels a little too real that I'm currently in quarantine, but was a great number. They had so much fun with this. That's the one thing, is I don't think Muppet Christmas Carol, great movie, not really fun as much as this one was. This one was a lot of fun. It made me feel like they were really hitting their stride with Muppet Treasure Island, and you can really get a sense of that because they really knew, I think, how to shoot this whole like kind of different genre, you know, and I think the Muppets are like apt at doing that as well as you can. I think one of the things about this that works so well, and I think what works so well about this and Christmas Carol, is that they respect the source material, but they respect the genre that they're in while still being goofy and silly within it. It's like when Muppets and the Henson stuff really works at its best, they're able to be respectful and silly and disrespectful, and it's like suddenly, you know, very like digestible when you're watching it. You're like, I feel like this is not for everyone, but it is for everyone. Like, how do you do that? And Treasure Island's like such a perfect example of that. Rediscovering it this time makes me want to watch it again. I feel like this is probably the one that I feel underserviced in the Muppet filmography, or my personal Muppet filmography. I need to watch it more. I get why people like it so much. I get why people still talk about it as like this huge childhood favorite. Like, I definitely understand that because it's just such a worthy follow-up. But I think as well as the reason it's kind of like lived on so much is it really does feel like they were evolving with this, and Brian Henson and everyone who's working on it. It still bugs me at the end. I was like, oh, and that's it. Damn it. And I'm sorry if I'm bringing that up too much in this review, but I think what Muppet Treasure Island shows is how good they are covering any sort of genre, and they could have done a mystery or horror movie or anything like that, and how much potential the Muppets really have. I think that's one of the things that it wasn't focused on the Muppets putting on a show. It wasn't focused on the Muppets doing the thing they're used to do. It's showing you how I think one of the things that's interesting about Brian Henson and both the films he directed is he's able to show you how universal the Muppets really can be. And he was able to do that by taking these classic pieces of literature, making them fun and silly and family film favorites. No one's going to deny that Christmas Carol and Treasure Island are two big family movies that are absolutely great and fun to watch with the whole family. But he's able to do that, just in the way his dad did, when he was able to be a great storyteller, teach you these great morals, teach you these great things. And Brian Henson, did that in the same way, where he was like, I'm going to do these classic stories that your kids will barely read at this point and make them absolutely love it. And he did. And I think Treasure Island shows that potential and how great he was at doing that. I was really happy watching it. I'm glad you guys made me watch this finally and sit down with it after all these years. And I'm disappointed with myself. I don't know why, because it's not like I didn't like the Muppets or anything. I don't know why. I don't have a good reason. And I'm a little mad at myself, and I'm glad I got to watch it with my daughter, and we had a fun time, and she laughed. I think it really shows how great the Muppets really can be, and have the Muppets be the one telling it to you, I think makes it all the better. So if you've seen Muppet Treasure Island and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments, and subscribe if you would like to.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Me love cookies.
And if you would like for me to review a movie of your choice, then click on the link below and pledge, and maybe I'll be reviewing your movie next month. Thank you very much for watching.